I play in monitoring a lot, so recognizing the challenge is an interesting part of real generalization of behaviors, right? The idea that dogs are such easily patterned creatures, and how small changes in the generalization landscape, the environment, can have a dog that feels really well trained make errors and mistakes just like human beings do. And so that's always endlessly fascinating, right?
Yes, yes, yeah, man, we have so much to talk. Shit. I don't know. I don't know if we're gonna have enough time. I mean, this
Maybe
is
we'll have a couple of episodes.
like for me, the one of the really cool things also is the kind of going right where you left it right here. It's understanding the power of habit. Like, it's just mind blowing to me how strong it can be. A habit, like if you have a way to create a habit, or if you try to destroy a habit that you don't want.
Yes.
It's so interesting, and it's so much there that yeah, it's a.
There's a reason that whole branches of human psychology are devoted to the creation of good habits and the difficulties of extinguishing bad habits too, right?
Yes.
You know, like they're hard. They're really hard to change, right? So they are incredibly powerful things. You're right.
That's where sometimes, you know, like the whole force-free movement, there is some valuable information. There is some message there. It's not complete, for sure. It's not complete, and I know we're gonna go into that much deeper. But there is some good side in there, and I think habits is one of the interesting things that they're. I don't think they're quite in there. They don't quite understand.
Yes.
But ultimately, if you, of course, you cannot go against genetics. Like there's just no, you know, like forget, like that's where they completely fell on their faces, because they just really think that with some super smart, intelligent training and differential reinforcements and whatever you want, they can do magic, and that's a problem. It's very similar. I mean, I think we both grew into anybody, I think, in the time, late 80s, early 90s, everybody jumped on that wagon. I mean, how would you not? If you can possibly train dogs in this way, why would you not? Right? Why would you not?
Well, yeah, I was so excited. We were all so excited about that. It was incredible. Yeah.
And as you said, the you know, just figuring different ways how to apply negative punishment in dog sports. And I remember you and I think, was it in Kentucky, or I don't know where we were. I mean, we had some endless nights just talking and just getting excited over each other's words. That's where I ended up writing the Advanced Schutzhund book, and I mean, anyone that would look at it, totally based on that movement and that era at the time. But then we figured it out. Just as you said, like, can we train dogs this way? Yes, we can. We know we can. Now, how far does it go? How does it compare? And is the dog really happier and less stressed as it's learning strictly that way? Those were the questions that eventually came up, correct?
Absolutely. That's it in a nutshell, what you said right there too. Is their life actually better? Are they actually ultimately less stressed, right? And in certain circumstances, yes, if the dog's made the connections you wanted quickly, but they're in that movement, God, we could talk about this by itself for hours, but in that movement, there's the idea that the dog needs to be left to make their own choices all the time, right? While they figure it out. And we all know how fucking frustrating it is, pardon me, to to be trying to figure something out and not getting the information you need to figure it out and keep butting your head against the wall and think you've got it and then you don't have it. And you and I both have all seen dogs too that get frustrated in those circumstances and it provokes aggressive. There's all kinds of stuff that's there, and it's not stress. That kind of stress is no nicer than some discomfort is in various circumstances. And so it's like what allows the dog to understand and make the connections the most efficiently, right? And with as little stress as possible in the learning phase of it, ultimately, right? Once a dog knows, applying stress to a dog that understands something is a completely different ball of wax than learning under stress, right? And so that once we kind of butted up against the limitations of thinking that way, then it all becomes about how you merge the worlds that we came from before that and that. But that needed to happen at that period of time. And we all needed to do that, I think, to swing the pendulum, to get people thinking differently about training. That absolutely had to happen. I know you and I may have had this conversation before, but I found, like, when I first started traveling and doing seminars for working clubs, I found myself, like you, I'm sure, being a proponent for positive and negative reinforcement in the working dog circle. You came from all these, everybody's thing was set the dog up so you could correct them, make them make a mistake so you could correct them, right? Kind of this whole mentality. And so you're preaching to all these trainers about, like, hey, you don't always have to go to the correction first. There's other ways to approach this. And then at the end of my traveling portion, I found myself going to clubs and saying, hey, you know what? It's okay to say no to your dog. It's okay to correct them. It's like, it's all right. You're like, you guys, this is good. Oh, yeah, great. You figured this part out, but you're now limiting yourself again on the other side of it, right? So
this is where organizations such as APDT and any of those force-free and their Lima, least intrusive, minimally.
yeah.
You know, it's a big problem. Like,
It's a problem.
I just don't understand why would you have this outlined in such a way to say, like, the only point that you're trying to make is to say how horrible punishment is, and that you should try everything else in order to avoid it. And that doesn't, I mean, besides not having logic, I'm just surprised how many people very sincerely believe in this presentation. Because when you, again, like you can just, I mean, I kind of stepped a little bit further out, but what you said about waiting on a dog, strictly, doing some shaping and doing some, like, oh no, he's gonna figure it out. Figure it out is a cool thing if you can set it up correctly. And even then, I personally would prefer not. When I teach, like in my school, I teach how to. You have to know how to. I mean, if you don't teach a dog to grab its blanket and roll over and go to sleep or open the toilet or, like